Hey man, so you journal, and I used to journal as well for every day for about a year, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it was. And I think it's great. Journaling is very good for oof, documenting your thoughts and expressing your thoughts, just getting them out, analyzing and coming up with action steps for things you want to achieve. And it is all nice, but we all know that there is a major negative about journaling. 1 second. Which is just the time that it takes. It takes forever to journal, right? And if you manage well to journal and it's all good for you, then no problem. But me personally, it would take me like 1 hour, sometimes 1.5 hours, and I still had not concluded all my thoughts. And I just needed to stop because I needed to do something else. I could not journal the whole day, right? And it was always like I would always stop in the middle of my thoughts for one reason or the other, and it was never very satisfying, right? Just stopping at the middle. And so I stopped because like journaling at all, because I didn't like that. And instead of journaling, I started doing something else. I started to record myself. And by the way, you don't need an extra device. You can just have a chat on WhatsApp with yourself, or you can create a group with a family member, a friend, and kick them out, or you're only there alone. And you can start recording yourself, basically. Whew. And I think at least it works much better for me because, first of all, journaling, like, it's a hustle, to be honest. Like, you're there for an hour writing, and writing, it's not the hardest thing on planet Earth, but for sure it is more hustle compared to just speaking. And you need to stay there, like on your desk, writing. Instead, when you do voice messages, I oftentimes walk. I go for like 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours. You can walk in your house, in your room, or just outside, whatever you like better. And you're, first of all, you walk, right? So it's healthy, it's nice. You go outside if you want. It's very, very nice, and it takes very little effort, right? Because you're just speaking in a sense. And that allows you to get into a flow state much easier and much better compared to, when you have effort that you need to write. It's harder to get in a flow state, in my opinion. Also, you're much faster, as I said, because the average person is 3 to 5 times faster speaking compared to writing. And only that means that you're, 4 times as productive. Like, one recording session counts for about 4 writing sessions. And like only for that just blows my mind how much more you can get done in the same amount of time doing basically the same exercise. 1 second. And that's crazy. Plus, you're much faster catching yourself, which I think is very key, because when you write, or that was at least a problem for me, when you write, you're having a thought, right? You're writing it down, and then there is another thing coming up in your mind, another thought, or a random thing comes to mind, right? But before you can address that, you need, of course, to finish the first thought, and that oftentimes takes a few phrases before you can finish the thought that you were expressing at the moment. And so it takes maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes before you can really get to the second thought. And by the time you get to the second thought, another 3 came to mind, and so you're always behind, right? You're always behind your mind because your mind is just much faster compared to your writing. And that used to annoy me because I could not properly get everything down. But when you record yourself, you're much faster. So you might be speaking about something, and then something comes out, like a random insecurity, a random limiting belief, and you can catch yourself immediately because you can say, oh, interesting, I said that. Where does that come from? Or, stuff like that. I didn't know that was there. And you can address it basically immediately, or at least much, much faster, because you just round down, or the first thought, and you move to the next, or you address the thing that you said and stuff. And I like that a lot, because for me, a lot of recording and kind of journaling in an audio version is about catching myself and really nailing down my mindset, because I think everything is downstream of your thoughts and your mindset. And so when you catch those things are often very important, are often key things. And yeah, you're much better doing it with your voice messages. The major disadvantage, though, when you record yourself compared to writing down, because basically everything is better, right? Like, it's the same exercise, but you're much faster and you're better at catching yourself. The only disadvantage is that you don't have the physical writing. You don't have it in a physical form, right? Because technically you have the chat, you recorded yourself, you can always go back and re-listen to your voice messages, but it's not very practical, it's not very nice. I don't ever do it, but that can be a major disadvantage, to be honest. It depends to you, like, honestly, how many times you go back and reread what you have written the days before. For me, it was not very often. You tell me. If it's very important to you, then maybe you should stick to writing. Although, and I'm not doing this, but it's an option, you could import, in this day and age with AI, you can just import all your audio, the whole chat, basically export it and import it into AI, which transcribes everything in text, and then you have it in a Word document or in a Google document, and you have this digital journal, if it makes sense, which you can have on your phone, on your computer, and whenever you want you can type if you are in the bus, or somewhere where you just type, or you can just continue recording and import the chats in written form, transcribing by AI into the journal, and you will have everything there. And that can be an option. Again, I'm not doing it, but if you want, because for me, I will come to this point later. Interesting, I will come to this point later. But people ask me, when I recommend this or when they want to try, they ask me but I tried, but I couldn't get in the flow. I didn't know exactly how to start and how to do it properly. It's very simple. You just start with whatever you have top of mind. So, for example, during your day, you might go to the gym, then have a meal, then take a shower, and start your recording session. At that point, likely either the shower, the meal, or the gym will be top of mind. And so you just start with that, just to get things rolling. You start by saying, before I was at the gym, I was hitting legs, I was with my brother, and it was very fun that we did abs and neck, and then there was this girl looking over, so we had a quick chat, it was a lot of fun. And then we came home again, it was very nice eating and stuff, and then another thought will come to your mind. And then you will randomly think about the other day that something happened, or something about your work, or something about the woman that you're pursuing, or something happening, right? Something that is top of mind. And when something is top of mind, let me be cold. When something is top of mind, you should address it and you should speak about it, unless it's bullshit. But even then, when it's bullshit, if it's top of mind, it means that you have not properly solved it. If that makes sense. You have not unwind the thought. And so your brain like wants to speak about it, wants to like get it straight, if that makes sense. And so whatever comes top of mind, you should speak about that. And oftentimes it's not a smooth flow, if that makes sense, right? It's more like chunks, it's more like subjects. You speak about the gym just to start, and then randomly you think about the girl, and then sorry, and then you will speak about your work, and then you will go to this, and then you will kind of go to that, and then transitions into another thing, right? I'm not sure you could see my my hand movement, hopefully. I don't know what I have in my throat. But you know, that's how the conversation flows. And oftentimes it takes me 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours, sometimes more than 2 hours to get all subjects done in my mind. And then I just think to myself, well, you know, I'm speaking about everything. It's, you know, my session has ended potentially. And at that point, I just, you know, end the session and make a new one the day after. And those, like, oftentimes it's 2 hours for me personally, it can be more or less for you, but those 2 hours are the best hours of the day very often, like with very little exceptions. They're better than eating, going to the gym, working, pretty much everything. They're much better, much more fun. I feel like it's very relaxing, it's very therapeutic in a way, because it's kind of the same thing you do with journaling, but I think it works much better when you record yourself, because, you know, because of the things I told you. You can see me spasm for the cold, but I will finish the video before getting dressed. And it's very therapeutic, and it's kind of the same thing that you do with psychologists, because, you know, I used to go, I will tell you that story as well, but when you go to a psychologist, they never just, you know, give you the answers, if that makes sense. They always ask you thought-provoking questions so that you get to the answers yourself, so that you have the mental capability and the mental tools to make those thoughts yourself and like come up with solutions. And that's kind of what you do with your voice messages, because you can speak, you know, the goal is to have a conversation, and you can have the conversation either with yourself or with, you know, you imagine speaking with a trusted person, or you can speak to your higher self, to God. And it's very nice because, especially when I speak to myself, to my higher self, or to God, cold, just puzzling, just a living vibrator. But when I speak to God, I don't lie. Or when I speak to myself in general, or like to other people. But the thing is, you don't lie, and you catch yourself because you see those things coming up that you didn't know were there. Also because you're in a very flow state, and so oftentimes you're not thinking about what you say. It's just thoughts coming up, and that's the key thing. You don't want to be thinking too much. You want things to come out, and that's when you know you're doing it right. And yeah, at that point, you know, it's kind of therapy. So it feels very nice. It feels very relaxing to unwind. Like you have like all these thoughts, right, and you unwind them, and they're just straight and relaxing and beautiful at the end of the session. And now to the thing I was saying earlier. I actually stopped recording my thoughts also. Now I'm just speaking, because I could notice, like, when you journal, right? You don't, like, if you don't have your journal with you, you don't just randomly take a piece of paper writing stuff, right? Maybe you take some notes, but then to journal, right? And you have this dependency with your journal. And the same thing was happening with my phone, because sometimes I would be somewhere where I couldn't record, but I still had thoughts, and I wanted to kind of, you know, get them out, or maybe I didn't have my phone, or maybe, you know, just to be able to have the session, I would need to take my phone, when in reality I didn't really want to take it with me somewhere. And so there was this dependency, and I didn't like that. Also, like in my mind, it takes space on your phone, which is really irrelevant, because just one picture counts for like 4 hours of recording, like in terms of how much space it takes on your phone. So it's really like irrelevant, really. But still, like there was this mental thing that, you know, I don't want to take up space in my phone, which is really silly, but it was there. So I just stopped about a month ago to record myself. Maybe I record myself once a week, just for a little while, giving an update and stuff. And I basically do the same thing as with recording, but I don't have the phone with me. And yeah, it's just a thing you need to experiment. There is a major disadvantage, which is I don't have the opportunity to, like, I want to have the option in 10, 15, or like 50 years time to have something about my life, a documentation that I can either share with other people, or like analyze, or like read over, like see, or like have it to do something potentially. And that's why having a journal is nice. You know, you have the physical form, but also recording can be nice because you can transcribe it, and AI is getting better and better, so you always have that option also. But like not recording at all, you don't have anything recorded, documented, and that's a major disadvantage for me. So I might go back to recording. It's just, you know, just me sharing what I'm trying and experimenting with. And to be honest, I would recommend you to try yourself, like experiment with things. For example, you might see that not recording, just speaking, and then writing things down, like as a summary of the session, just the key points, might work well for you. So you have like the summary, maybe it takes you what, 15, 20 minutes to write down, maybe, you know, a few pages in the journal, what you spoke about, what the conclusions were, what came up, right? So you have a documentation, but it lays on top of whatever amount of time of just speaking. Because in this way, like, you're much faster, right? Because speaking, you're 4 times faster compared to writing, and then it only takes you a little time to write the key points down, compared to trying to make the whole argument, like the whole thought process in your mind, in the writing, like that just takes forever, and then it's messy, right? Because then it's all over, which can be nice, but for me, I much rather have a clean documentation of the thing. So I might try that as well, just experimenting. And that was all. Like, it feels very nice. I would recommend you trying either journaling or recording, or, you know, just speaking and then journaling the key points. Hope it helped. Hope it was valuable and helpful, or at least entertaining. See me here spasming from the quote. And yeah, man, it was a pleasure making this video. See you next time.